Hi everyone, this is HP Fashions GY and welcome back to my YouTube channel. In today's tutorials, we'll be learning on how to cut and sew an off-shoulder corset gown with a deep yoke. Okay, so the first thing I will do right now is to take my down measurement for the down part of my dress. I will minus my half length, which is 16, to get my full length, which is 34, plus extra 2-inch folding allowance, which is 36. Which I'll be using 36. The main measurement is 34, but extra 2 inches for sewing and folding. Okay, all right. Now at this point, now we'll still minus my half length to get my hip point, which is 23 and 24. Then I will go ahead now to divide my waist measurement into 4 and insert, adding up 2.5 inches sewing allowance. Then divide my hip measurement of 44 into 4, insert and add up extra 2.5 inches allowance. At this point now, I'll be connecting my waist measurement to my hip point. Then I measured my hip all together. Then at the down part, I made a minus of 3 inches. Okay, so I've done my connection at this point now. All right, so I'll go ahead and cut this out. I'll go ahead and cut this out. Alright, so this is for the front, the down part of the front. This is for the front, the down part. Okay, so I'll notch the middle part to indicate the waistline. So I will have to fold another fabric to place for my back measurement. At this point, I'll be adding up zipper allowance. Okay, zipper allowance of about 1.5 inches. So I'll be using 1.5 inches for my zipper allowance, the wideness 1.5 inches. So at this point now, we'll just go ahead and trace the one I placed on top. I'll just go ahead and trace it out. I'll go ahead and trace this out. Alright, so this is what we have now. Then I'll go ahead and notch my zipper allowance to show where it stopped and also where it started. Okay, so this is my zipper allowance. Then I'll divide the back side into 2, but won't divide the front. The front will just be the way it is. Okay, all right, so I also went ahead to use my chalk to rule the line for my zipper allowance. Okay, so I'll keep this aside now. So it's time to take for the upper part. The half length is 16, mind you, remember. So I'll be using 17, 1 inch for sewing allowance. I'll be using 17. So I'm taking the length now, making my connection. So at this point now, I'll be taking my shoulder measurement of 16, then my armhole depth of 8.5. All right, 8.5. So at this point now, I'll make my connection. Then from the shoulder, I'll be taking the underbust of 12.5. Underbust of 12.5 from my shoulder. Okay, underbust of 12.5. And I will make my connection at this point. Alright, so just to confirm the measurement from my shoulder to my armhole depth using 8.5, shoulder to underbust is 12.5. Okay, so the actual underbust is actually meant to be 13.5, but I made a minus of 1 inch for lifting. Okay, so right now I've inserted my bust measurement with extra 2.5 inches allowance. then my waist measurement divided by 4 with the same 2.5 inches allowance. All right, so this is my under bust, armhole, and this is my shoulder. All right, so at this point now, I'll be making a connection. All right. All right, now this is it. All right, so I'll be adding up extra 1 1 inch behind my main measurement, okay, for my corsets. All right, so at this point now, I'll be making a minus of 6.5, minus of 6.5. Then I will come down with a depth of about 10.5. All right, so I'll be changing that 10.5 because I want it to come down. I'll be using about 11.5 for the depth. So I'll be using wideness of 4 inches from the down. Wideness of 4 inches from the down. 4 inches. Then I will stop at this point. Okay. So I will use my rule now to connect the middle line. I'll connect the middle line, okay? Alright, so this is my under bust now. I'm trying to take my under bust, my nipple point, sorry, my bust point, which is 9, 9.5, and 10. It's actually close to each other. I'm actually using 3 points for this because I like to use 3 points. It will make it not to have a pointed surface. So I'm making a minus of 6.5. I've made a minus of 6.5, then neck depth of 11.5. All right, so at this point now, we'll make this connection this way. All right, then I'll be minusing 1 inch from the down part of each, both the middle and the side. 1 inch from each side. 1 inch from each side. All right, then I'll also use my ruler to make the line more visible. Okay, so at the upper part now, I'll be making a minus of 1 inch on both sides as well. Alright, so now I'll be making my neck connection. I'll be connecting it. I'll be curving it out like a sweetheart neckline. Alright, so now I'll make my connection from the down part to the bust point on both sides. Alright, so I'll connect the upper part to the bust point, the same to the other side as well. Alright. Right, so at this point, I'll be taking my corset, my cup curve, okay, since my neckline stops there. So I'll be measuring something from this point to this point is 3 inches. Let's assume this is my middle to that point is 3 inches. I might not the same 3 inches to get another 3 inches, which is 6 inches, and I will connect all the way down. All right. If it's actually a normal corset, from that middle is half inches. All right, so since the neckline is actually very deep, the neckline took part of the middle, part of the upper middle, and that's it. All right, so this is it. So at this point now, I'll go ahead and take all this out. I'll go ahead and cut it out. Right, also remember that the underbust, the main actual underbust, is 13.5. I made a minus of 1 inch because I want a good lifting for the breast. I want a good lifting for the bust. That's why I made a minus of 1 inch. Then I used 12.5 instead of 13.5. Okay, so right now I'll go ahead and trace this line out. I'll keep this aside for my yoke. Alright, so this is it. Then go ahead and trace this out as well. Alright, so now at this point, now this is what we have. I'll use my pen to indicate the up and down of the cup so we won't get it twisted, okay? Alright, so at this point now, I'll be taking the same measurement, 17 inches, half length of 16, plus 1 inch of 17. I'm actually drafting the back. Okay. Alright, so I'll be taking my shoulder measurement now of 16, then armhole depth of 8.5, then make the connection. Alright, so at that armhole line, I'll be inserting my bust measurement with extra 2.5 inches allowance. Okay, so for the waistline, divide by 4, an extra inches allowance of 2 inches. Make my connection, then connect my armhole, although I will not be using the shoulder measurement at this point, but in order to get it, so I'll be making do of minus of the same 6.5 from the armhole side and connect to the depth of the back using 8.5. All right, so this is how it looks like. Then I'll go ahead and trace this out and cut it out. All right, so this is the back. I'll be marking for my darts. I'll be using 3 inches for my darts measurement. All right. Alright, so I'll just keep this aside. So at this point now, I'll be placing my pattern on my main fabric. I'll just trace it out and cut it. I'll just trace it out and cut exactly what I have there, because I've already added extra 2.5 inches allowance to this. Alright. Okay. Alright, so try to do it well. Try to cut it well. Alright, I'm just trying to place something on top. I wouldn't want it to shift or to change my measurement for me. Yeah, so this is what we have here for the side of our corset. Alright, so I'll need to get for the middle. This is actually the front middle. Alright, so I'll just go ahead and trace this out. Just go ahead and trace this out. Mind you, you really need to take exactly the shape of what we have in our pattern so that we won't get it twisted, okay? So this is what we have. So at this point now, I'll fold my fabric into two to get my corset cup for the get for the cup. Okay, so I'll just go ahead and trace this out, but not exactly the way it is. Alright, I'll be adding up extra allowance on the upper part, extra allowance of 1.5 inches. Adding up 1.5 inches. And I'll go ahead and get this out. Alright, so at this point now, I'll be adding up a little allowance at the back, either 1/2 inch or less than 1/2 inch. You can just add up 1/2 inch, but the allowance shouldn't affect the down part. So I'll just go ahead and trace this out. Just go ahead and trace this part. Alright, so this is for the side, then this is the other part for the middle. Alright, so this is it. Not getting exactly the measurement, we'll definitely add up extra allowance to this. Alright, so just go ahead, take the shape, but add up a little of the allowance to this. Alright, then I'll go ahead and pull it up. Pull this up, then cut it out. Alright, so at this point now, we'll go ahead and get the back measurement. Get our back measure, get for our back fabric, place the pattern on the fabric and get the back. Alright, this is it. So go ahead and divide it into two. After this, we'll go ahead and get our lining for all the ones we've cut. Alright, so this is our illusion net. For place our pattern on it and get the exact measurement. You know, illusion net can be stretchy at times, so I'll be getting the exact measurement. Okay, alright, so this is it. I folded it into 4, so I've gotten my lining for all of them. So at this point now, I'll just place my lining under them and do my joinings. Okay, alright, so this is the side of my corset. Alright, so at this point now, I'll be placing to sew. Alright, so my joining should start from the top, not from the under, like other bust here. So I'll be starting my measurements from the upper part to the downside. Okay, alright, so this is what I have for now. Alright, so I'll go ahead and place the other side to my middle corset as well. Then I'll go ahead and trim the excess lining, because I noticed there's an excess lining on the middle part of the corset. Then I'll also make my connections. Alright, I'm joining with 1/2 inch. I'm actually joining with 1/2 inch. So this is it. Alright, so this is what we have now. Yeah, this is what it looks like for now. Alright, so at this point now, I'll go ahead and join my lining exactly the way I joined my main fabric. Alright, this is what I will be using to turn the neckline up. Alright, so see, I'll go ahead and join the other side exactly the way I joined my main fabric. Alright, so I'm joining with 1/2 inch as well. Alright, so this is for my cup. we'll be getting our cup at this point now. So I'll be placing my lining under as well. Then we'll be getting our cup. So I'll be using the other side because the corset is actually made up of two, the left and the right side facing each other, while you connect to give you that curve we need. All right, so this is what we have now. So I'll be placing my foam under. I'll be using the foam. I'll be placing my foam. Meanwhile, I've already gotten exactly the shape of the foam, exactly the shape of my fabric on my foam. All right, so I'll just use my pin to secure it at this point now. All right, so I'll also secure the other side, the other part of my corset. All right, so at this point now, the two joining will face each other. All right, so I'll place one on top of the other to take the shape, to take the curve exactly the way it is. I'll be making my joining with 1/2 inch as well. All right. All right, so at this point now, if you can actually take it a little bit slowly to get exactly what you want, then you can actually go ahead to do that. All right, so at this point now, I'll be going a little bit slowly to get exactly what I want, okay? Because my foam is actually a thick one, so it won't get to cause my thread, you know. So at this point now, this is it. Okay, so just go ahead and stitch this up. All right. Okay. I'll go ahead and top stitch it again. I'll go ahead and top stitch it again. All right. So this is what we have. So I'll go ahead and get for the other one. Go ahead and get for it. Get the other side of my cup. Okay, so I'll be placing the foams under, using my pin to secure it. Okay, so for the other parts, I'll go ahead to place my foams under as well. Alright. So I'll just go ahead and arrange this very, very well and go ahead and do my joining. Alright, like I said, the foam I use is actually a very thick one. Alright, so at this point now, the curved side will be facing each other. Will be facing each other. So this is what the joining will look like. Using 1/2 inch to do our joining. Alright, so like I said, you really need to take this slowly, but if you know you can do it very fast, you can actually go ahead. Alright, so this is it. Okay, so I will just sew all the way up. Okay, I'll go ahead and stitch at this point. Alright, so this is exactly what we have for now. This is how it looks like. This is how the two looks like. Alright, so I'll also go ahead to join my lining exactly the way I joined the main cup. Alright, alright, so if you find this video very helpful, don't forget to like, subscribe to my YouTube channel. Don't forget to share my videos. Okay, alright, so this is HP Fashions GY. Alright, so this is for one side of the cup for the lining. Alright, so the curves will actually face each other, the curves. Alright, okay, so this is it. So at this point now, I'll go ahead to trim the excess foam. Like I said, the foam I used a very thick one, so I'll go ahead and trim it up. Alright, so that it will actually relax properly after ironing. Okay, alright, so I'll go ahead and trim the excess foams out. I wouldn't want it too thick. Okay, alright, so this is what we have for this. Alright, so I'll keep that aside and trim this particular one out at this point. Okay, so after that, I'll go ahead and give it a nice press. I'll go ahead and iron the curves so that it will sit perfectly. Okay, I will not just use it like that. I will not just sew like that. So I'll go ahead and give it a nice press because it's really need to sit perfectly on the body. Alright, so this is what we have. This is the cup. Alright, this is how it looks like. Alright, so we'll continue in our next video. Thanks for watching.